Our friend Ron Magill is here. Again, I suggest to you, if you want to give to his charity, I promise you that it goes straight to helping the animals, and your money will be used maximum efficiently by somebody who knows all of the people who care about animals the right way. His substantive endowment, you could just check it out on Google if you want to help Ron Magill out, help the animals. Greg Cote, the last time he was here, Ron, he did not do this in front of you because he's not brave that way, but he was questioning your story from Africa and how close you were to actually dying. He doesn't believe that that was a thing that that was as real as it seemed. I don't want to speak for him, but if you want to confront him to his face, here he is right now, okay. Greg Cote.
I wouldn't call it a confrontation, but it's true that until I heard this with my own ears, it was hard. It was a buffalo, right?
Buffalo, Cape Buffalo, yeah.
And I heard about it rampaging through a tent or something like that. And
it did go through the tent.
And I wonder, can you just tell the story again for myself and those?
Wait a minute, that's not a confrontation. I mean, he can tell the story again, but you were questioning the story.
I found it hard to believe that Ron Magill, after a distinguished long career confronting wildlife, that this was the most danger he's ever felt. I want to hear that with my own ears.
Well, it was close to the most danger. I think I told you about the time with the elephant in the Ngorongoro crater and the hippo on the Nile River. Those are my top three. But
this is third. This is the bronze medal.
No, this isn't third. This would be
no reason to brag.
Tied for first. This would be tied for first.
Okay.
Tied for first.
You have to put them in order.
Right. Well done, Ron.
Gold, silver, bronze.
Right.
You got to put them in order.
Wait a minute. All right, so now we've got to rehear all three stories, and you have to pick a 1, 2, and 3.
Yes.
Tell the elephant story again.
I was doing a study on elephants in must, which is male elephants that are at the peak of their hormonal drive, where they're very unpredictable, very dangerous. You've seen these elephant attacks, so quote-unquote attacks, where they go after trucks and things like that. That happened to me. I was down in the bottom of the Ngorongoro crater. I was photographing an elephant in must from a safe distance. We always turn the engine off when we're photographing. We don't want the vibration of the truck, not just to shake the camera to make a fuzzy picture, but also not to disturb the animal. So we turned the truck off, and I'm photographing this elephant. And then all of a sudden, I realized he saw me, didn't really like me being there, and started coming after me. I told the driver, okay, let's go. We had a safe enough distance where you can get away. He went to start the engine, and the battery was dead. So we couldn't go. I knew this elephant was coming. I continued to photograph him as he came at the truck. When he got to the truck, for those of you that are familiar with these vehicles, they are open the top. It's a Toyota Land Cruiser with an open top, where I was standing on the seat taking photographs through the top of the roof. I then went down on the bottom of the truck and held on to the bottom of the seats, anchored to the floor of the truck. The elephant came up to the truck, put his tusk under the truck, and started to try to tip it over. He was rocking it back and forth. It was rocking back and forth off its wheels, but it didn't tip all the way over. He then stopped doing that, and as I'm still holding on, praying for my life at the bottom, I realized a whole big shadow came over me. This elephant was so large, he literally stood over the top of the Land Cruiser and looked down at me. I actually got a picture of him actually doing that. And then his trunk came over the top, and I'm just holding on. I'm thinking he's just going to grab me, pull me out of the truck, and whip me around like a wet rag. And his trunk came and actually touched the top of my head and just kind of went.
Oh, he
little
booped
kiss.
you.
And no, that's not a that's more like I'm really, soiling my pants. And then all of a sudden, he stopped doing that, and I'm just waiting. I'm thinking, God, what's he gonna do? And then I felt the sunlight on my face again. I looked up, and he was gone, and he was just walking away. So I don't know what happened there. The difference between this and the buffalo is that the buffalo would not have stopped if he had gotten to me, or she. It was a female buffalo, actually. We were walking down at nighttime. It's 6 o'clock in the morning. I'm going to each tent with our guide to wake everybody up to get ready to get on the game drive. It's dark, and there's very little light in the camp area, and it's an open camp, so animals are coming through all the time. Dan can testify. I was walking with Dan and his wife Valerie as we were heading back and there's a big elephant literally right there in the walkway. And we looked at it. I said, okay, Dan, let's just back off. Everything was fine. The thing flared out its ears, put out the trunk, and basically telling us that's enough. Don't get any closer. And we backed off. So Dan can, verify that these animals are in camp. They are in camp. So we're looking for this buffalo. We weren't looking for the buffalo. We're looking to make sure there aren't any buffalo, and we missed this one. A lot of times we depend on the eye shine. We're using a flashlight because the eye shine will show up right away. It comes out like a flashing light. But this buffalo was asleep, so her eyes were closed. And we came around the corner. She was asleep behind the bush, and we startled her. She startled us. She got up, snorted, and charged right at us. We were about 15, 20 feet away from the tent that we were going to wake up guests of ours. And we used our flashlights. And Mark, Matt, who was the guide with me, actually used the flashlight better than I did because I was a little bit more tense than he was. But we used the flashlights kind of like a matador uses a cape to say, here, come this way, this way, this way. And he charged the flashlight. At the very last second, we dropped the flashlights right in front of where the tent was, go to the side, and it charged the tent. It ripped through the tent. Its head, its horns went through the tent, knocked all the furniture off in there. One of our guests, the wife of one of our guests was in bed. She's screaming. I'm yelling to please be quiet, quiet. And the other guest was actually sitting on the toilet at the time. So basically, he probably finished what he was doing very quickly.
Horrifying.
Holy crap.
Listen, I'm not exaggerating. I'm not making any of this stuff up. Fortunately, the buffalo decided to go to the right instead of the left. If it had gone to the left, we would have been totally exposed, and I'm pretty certain it would have severely injured, if not worse, to both of us.
All right, tell us a third story, and then I will award the medals.
And stop calling them tents. I mean, enough.
I was photographing river hippos in the Nile River, and I wanted to get a different perspective of the hippos. So instead of shooting them from land out into the water, I went out into the water in a little motorized canoe and was getting low down in the water to try to get that perspective of the land behind the hippo with the water. Hippos, generally speaking, give us a system of body language to tell you that they're not very happy with your presence. It starts with them kind of, raising their body a little bit out of the water. The next one will be they kind of raise their head out of the water. The next one will be they yawn really loudly. Okay, when I say loudly, they're widely. They open their mouths very wide and they present those massive tusks. That's the last threat. And then they'll vocalize. So there's usually 3 or 4 steps before they actually will charge. Well, I was photographing this one hippo. I'm down looking through the eyepiece of my camera, and I'm photographing, and this hippo decided to skip steps 1 through 3 and just lunged at me like a killer whale out of the water. And this hippo was coming to get us. Fortunately, my guide had the motor on the canoe and zoomed away, but that hippo was porpoising after us and got to as close to within about, I would say, 15, 20 feet. Now, you say 15, 20 feet is a long way. It's not a long way when you're in a little dugout canoe with a little engine on it and a massive hippo is coming out of the water after you. Fortunately, we got away. I was able to get one of my favorite photographs of all time. I'll send it to you guys for the next show so you can see it. It's the very moment that hippo lunged out of the water at me. I wish I could say I was as good a photographer that I said, oh, yeah, I'm going to get this picture. Boom, I took it. No, I didn't even realize I took it. What happened was that damn hippo scared the shit out of me. And when it lunged out of the water, I must have tensed up and pressed the shutter by accident, and the camera did all the work.
Choked.
So it was one of those things where it was a photograph by accident, but it's still one of my favorites.
All right. Crap. The bronze medal goes to the elephant.
You're crazy.
The silver medal goes to the buffalo.
Huh.
The gold medal goes to the hippopotamus.
Wow.
No, I have to disagree with you. I was there.
You put the
You just had him tied for first.
Ron, you're
Judge
wrong.
ruled.
You're wrong. Forgive me, but Greg Cote loves when his ignorance is right. He was not there. He knows nothing. He's more right than you. That's his move. What are your rankings, Ron?
My ranking is I've got to go tie elephant and buffalo and then the hippo.
No ties.
Yeah.
Okay, no ties. Then I'm gonna go with the buffalo because the buffalo would have killed us. The elephant had the opportunity to do that. It did not, even though it scared the bejeebers out of me. The elephant could have killed me. It chose not to. That buffalo would not have chosen to ignore me had it gotten to me. It would have killed me. So the buffalo's number 1, elephant's number 2, hippo's number 3.
Okay. Sounds like recency bias.
Yeah.
Listen, in all fairness, Greg, I will tell you that on this trip, Dan did call me Wrong McGill. Not Ron McGill, but Wrong.
Wow.
I did.
How about Buffalo? They finally won something. I mean,
Jessica, what do you have for Wrong McGill?
There's nothing wrong with a bronze. First of all, just want to appropriately celebrate the bronze medal winner. Ron, I've been watching a lot of the Olympics, and they're surfing in Tahiti. How great is the threat of a shark attack at a surfing event like this?
I mean, it exists, Jessica, but it's not a great threat. It's the same threat of saying, listen, you have a threat of getting hit by a car if you're crossing the street. It depends what street you're on and where you're crossing, but the bottom line is sharks are there. So the threat, of course, exists. But the bottom line is, how many surfers have been surfing out there for how long, and how many shark attacks have there been? So when you put those numbers in perspective, the likelihood is very, very little.
Hey, Ron, I've recently seen those posters, right? Those missing animals posters where it's a bird, right? You've seen those and you just crack up. It's like, oh, you got to find the bird. So I was at my partner's cousin's house the other day, and they have a couple of birds. And apparently one of them, soon after it could fly away, after, the wings grew back, it flew away. And this person put out posters, and it just so happens that this bird was nearby a friend's house. That friend found a way to capture the bird, brought it back to the proper owners. And so my question is this bird pissed off that the one place it landed happened to be friends with its owner and is now back in the cage?
No, on the contrary, the bird, the fact that it was able to be caught will tell you that it is in fact habituated to human beings. That bird, being a pet, depends on humans for food. It probably flew away thinking, oh, this is going to be paradise, and said, hey, wait a minute, where's all the food I'm used to getting for free, given to me on a silver platter as if I'm in a catering place here? These animals that, may have some kind of wild background still become dependent on the people who care for them. When we had the hurricane here at the zoo, Hurricane Andrew, I'll never forget it. Our aviary was destroyed. All those birds flew away, and they all flew away. But you know what? Within a few days, they flew back. They flew back saying, hey, you know what? It's like, I remember as a little kid, I got really ticked off at my parents. I said, I'm running away. I ran away. That lasted about 4 hours. I got hungry. I said, you know what? It's a little easier at home. So I went back. And animals in a lot of ways do the same thing. Dogs sometimes will get out and they'll run away. And then all of a sudden they come back on their own because they start realizing, wait a minute, home is where the heart is, brother.
Did you pack up like a little blanket and put it on the end of a stick like they do in the
No,
cartoons?
I was young and stupid. I was just really pissed off. I said, I'm leaving. And my father said, great. And, just looked at me, and I'll never forget it because he actually was going to make it harder. He says, okay, but you got to leave everything here that's not yours. I said, fine, I'm leaving. I said, no. My father said, stop, take your clothes off. I bought your clothes. And I said, well, I can't run away naked, so that would be dumb. Yeah, my dad was smart that way.
Wrong. I read something recently that sounded so ludicrous. I need you to verify or refute the truth of it. I read that crows are able to say aloud numbers at the level a toddler might. 1, 2, 3, 4, etc.
They can certainly say the numbers. It doesn't mean that they know what the numbers mean. It doesn't mean that you can say, okay, crow, say 5, now point to the 5 coconuts. That's the difference. Crows can mimic sounds very well, and ravens, minor birds are kind of similar type of family. They're one of the best sound reproducers in the world.
So crows can speak.
Crows can, yes, they can emulate sound and say things like numbers, yes.
What kind of savage is the crow, Ron? Because I will occasionally see bird parts on my balcony because I didn't realize that crows destroy other birds.
They do. They raid nests, they eat eggs, they eat chicks. They're thugs, they're gangsters. But having said that, they're also probably the smartest bird in the world. Crows are generally believed to be the smartest of all birds.
I just want you guys to know that Chris Googled counting crows and is not getting any answers, just getting a bunch of band information.
Yeah, Mr. Jones.
Wrong. We wanted to talk to you about cocaine sharks. Apparently, there were sharks that were caught off the coast of Brazil, and they tested positive for cocaine.
Yeah, well, the bottom line is I think we all know that sometimes these drugs get ditched in the water when people are going to get arrested or confiscated, so that those drugs are being diluted in the water, and they're certainly being absorbed by these fish that live in that water. So it's not unheard of to think that. I don't know how widespread it is. Yeah, I'm seeing all this great it's going to go crazy on social media, I'm sure. But the bottom line is anything you throw in the water that can become diluted in the water can be absorbed by these animals. It's like, listen, if you're not a smoker, but you live in a house with somebody who smokes all the time and is blowing smoke in the house, you're going to have smoke in your lungs. That's the bottom line.
Yeah.
He is animal apologist Ron Magill, always able to defend the behavior of cocaine-using sharks.
If I saw a brick of cocaine, I wouldn't stuff my face in it.
I mean, no chance the sharks just like to party.
Thank you, Ron. Appreciate your time. Good seeing you again, sir.
Good guys. Have a good week, guys. Take care.
My life as I know it is about to drastically change forever. And the reason I say that, as many of you know, I'm going to be a father coming up in December to a baby girl, and it's crazy, and I can't believe it. And a lot of my life is going to change, but there's one thing in my life that's going to be constant. And since 1975, this Original Light beer has been a constant, a mainstay for the entire planet. And it's going to continue to be a mainstay for me. It's Miller Lite. They keep it simple. Undebatable quality, great taste, only 96 calories. It's the beer that strips away everything you don't need and holds on to what matters most. It's a light beer that actually tastes like beer. You don't have to choose what's best. Miller Lite has great taste and is less filling. And it tastes like Miller time. To get Miller Lite delivered right to your door, visit MillerLite.com/Dan, or you can find it pretty much anywhere that sells beer. Celebrate responsibly. I will when my daughter's born with a tall, cold glass of Miller Lite. Miller Brewing Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. 96 calories per 12 ounces. Fewer calories and carbs than premium regular beer.
I believe that we have a profoundly lax environment around here that is much different than most businesses. And one of the reasons that I believe this, Stugotz, is because I often say things 10 and a dozen times without anybody doing them. Like, it happens all the time. And yesterday, I would say that I fired off as angry a text as I will ever fire off when I just asked an assortment of people, hey, do I need to fire somebody, or are we going to get a gas bag of the week that I've been asking for a dozen weeks now? Should I be firing Frankie or Robert? Who do you guys want me to fire? Frankie, who works in security, Robert, who's IT, just to make
Not Frankie.
to make an example of who should we fire around here, because it seems basically business 101, person on show asks for something as easy as gas bag of the week. Can he get it after asking for it 12 times?
Well, if you notice, Dan, Lewis is not here today. So sorry
Did
about
you
that.
fire
Lewis.
him?
Yeah, I mean,
I did not fire Lewis. It better
I like Lewis.
to be the security guy or an IT guy, somebody else, just to send a real warning to everybody. I really mean business about I need a gas bag of the week.
Yeah, you needed to soften that threat with all due respect. Do I have to fire somebody?
No
Right.
offense.
Yeah, exactly.
No offense.
You came out hot.
Dan, I feel like you want your cake. What's this saying?
You eat it too.
You want to eat your cake and have it too, because like there's a standard
Eat your
we have.
cake and have it too.
We have a
Good,
standard
yes.
around here, so I feel like the work has been done.
We have a standard
got
around
it.
here.
Yeah.
The work has been done to get you a gas bag, but sometimes I get a few nominees, and I'm like, guys, Dan's not going to like this one, so that's why. And we're going to do one today, and hopefully it meets your standard.
Chris, I find it hard to believe, with all of the people being paid to give sports opinions that are bad all over the country, that we can't find a paragraph every week from all of the stupid things being said. It seems impossible for me to believe that with a company's worth of resources, many, many people working for us, we can't just dive into the mainstream and find the occasional gas bag salmon.
Worst case scenario, just use my Michael Phelps blurb every week.
I had 22 bad takes just last week alone.
Well,
I mean,
I do think that Greg Cote had a great nominee for gas bag of the week, not Michael Phelps. Your take on the U.S. Olympic bronze medal winning team, that would be something that I would nominate. But do you have something better than that, Chris?
We do. We have a clip of Matt Rhule talking at some sort of Nebraska media day about the Big Ten and them having automatic playoff bids.
This has imaging, though, correct? This has some imaging to it so that we can set it up?
We'd listen to it, and then we either say who is the gas bag. Like, we don't know which one's the gas bag of the week
I
yet.
think the imaging needs to be before gas bag of the week. We'll work it out. Maybe it'll take us another 12 weeks.
we've
Frankie.
been doing this for 20
No,
years.
we don't know how to do it. I got to fire somebody. Clearly, I got to fire Robert in IT.
Pablo. Gas bag of the week.
That's all the imaging that all of Metal Arts
do.
production went into. And here is just Matt Rhule being a gas bag.
I think 4 teams from this league should get in every year because this is the best league. This is the NFL of college football in my mind. It stretches from coast to coast, different time zones, different weather. That's not to diminish any other league. The SEC is amazing. These other leagues are great, but the challenge in the Big Ten is going to be really difficult.
Look at all of you just staring back. I'm going to have to fire somebody. I'm going to have to. It's just obvious. I'm going to have to.
Who do you want to take health insurance from the most?
I just need to
Assuming that
set an
everyone here
example. I
has it.
just want a gas
I need it,
bag.
too.
I just want a gas bag of the week. That's
Well,
all.
Greg, congratulations. You're the gas bag of the week.
Congratulations,
Way to go.
Greg Cote.
I accept.
Gas bag of the week.
See, it works after.
So Rhule wants 4 automatic bids into the playoff for the Big Ten. And what a joke that is.
That's
Seriously,
ridiculous.
who is Matt Rhule? Here's a rule. Finish above 500. Here's another rule. Make it to the Pinstripe Bowl before you start talking about the college football playoff. And Matt Rhule should be wearing a ski mask on the sidelines in Lincoln.
Yeah, but like this was the Big Ten and SEC having more bids to the playoff was something that was on the table, and obviously the reason is that you get more money for more playoff appearances, and they want they want to solidify themselves as head and shoulders above the other 2 power conferences. So I'm not surprised to hear a Big Ten coach advocating for this.
Why do you have him in a ski mask?
He's stealing money.
Oh,
He went
okay.
5-7 last year, 3-6 inside the Big Ten. He ain't sniffing the playoffs anytime soon.
Sounds like he's your gas bag of the week.
He is.
New rules with Stugotz. I like this. Where that's a better segment than Gasbag of the Week.
Here's a rule.
You just rip. Yes, you giving Matt Rhule new rules is something that I would like to
That
hear.
has book potential, Stu.
It does.
I'm on it.
Isn't that a Bill Maher segment?
Yes.
So,
But it's not spelled R-U-H-L-E. New rules.
All right, we're good.
Isn't that RH?
Greg's right,
R-H-U-L-E?
as usual.
Greg, I want some help.
I mean, he's 16-34. 16-34 in his last 4 seasons coaching at the NFL level and in college. And he's telling us what the rules should be. Here's a rule. Matt Rhule shouldn't be telling us any rules.
I like this. This is a good segment. This is so much better than Gasbag of
In
the
just a
Week.
few weeks, you might get this
of the
segment,
week.
Dad.
I'm sorry.
Greg Cote has a new segment that he would like to debut today. Dumb Move of the Week. Which
Different.
is totally
Different.
different from Gasbag of the Week. This needs some of its own imaging as well. Can I get some examples before I choose one? Because surely our production staff has not actually created something ready to do Dumb Move of the Week.
Can we rename it Wrong Move of the Week? Because for that, I have imaging.
Ha, ha, you're wrong, you are so wrong. Ha, ha, you're wrong, you are so wrong. Ha, ha, you're wrong, you are so wrong. Ha, ha, you're wrong, you are so wrong.
That's nice.
Great.
Angelic.
Yeah,
Beautiful.
biblical, religious, churchy.
Don't think I can do better than this.
All right, so this is the best we're going to do. What is your wrong move of the week, Greg Cote?
Well, here's the Las Vegas Raiders. You know, struggling and scrambling to be the 2nd or 3rd best team in a division dominated by the Kansas City Chiefs. Okay, and here come the Raiders in the middle of their training camp mocking Patrick Mahomes. Not just mocking him in general, but mocking him, taking a very personal shot. We all know Patrick Mahomes has a rather distinctively unusual voice, right? Speaking voice. Well, they mocked his voice using a Kermit the Frog puppet as a prop.
I'm here.
And I just think that's the wrong move, to not only tweak the quarterback who's dominating you, but to do so in sort of a cringy way.
Kermit the Frog here.
I love Kermit. I would be flattered.
Would
even
you?
though it's so mean.
Yeah, if someone said you spoke like Kermit the Frog, that would be flattering to you?
No, you're right.
Every time I see
Kermit's so cute.
What happened there?
every time I see the voiceover of Patrick Mahomes yelling, "I'm here," and it's Kermit saying, "I'm here, I'm here," it cracks me up every single time. If I was the Raiders, yeah, I'll give him a pass on that one.
Here's a rule. Don't poke the bear. All right?
There you go.
Seriously, what are you doing?
He already
Doing?
beats them anyway. What difference does it make?
Poke away?
Yes, he does do a good amount of beating of the Raiders and of everybody. Izzy, are you invited to Greg Cote's yacht birthday party?
That is a fantastic question, Greg.
We haven't sent out invitations yet.
Yes, Izzy, you are on the list.
Thank God. I was
Putting out
gonna
feelers.
say,
We haven't sent out invitations
I've
yet.
been so nervous about asking this question because I wasn't sure, and just that this makes me feel so much better. I've been
not-
on pins and needles all day. Do I get a +1?
I'm not confirming or denying
Yes.
that anyone is or isn't, or Izzy, on the invite list.
What is happening here where you're not confirming anything and Chris Cote is just telling Izzy yes and Izzy's celebrating, but it's your birthday party?
Get in line on that one. My wife and my son are shepherding and ramrodding this whole thing.
Because that's what you've told us to do. You've sent me many a text. Please tell me whom I'm inviting. Like you're trying to like get yourself away from all of this.
Okay, I'm just trying to insulate myself from post-invite criticism.
How many people do you want there? How many people could fit on the boat?
He has said 100 to 150 is about as far as he's willing to go with the open bar.
So I like the idea of you like a committee figuring this out. You gather like 250 names or so that would want to attend your birthday, and then you announce who's
Well, I
actually
think
made
part
the
of his
final
problem is, though, then the boat has to be the one that's as big as China's was in the opening ceremonies. You got 400 people on it, 400 athletes on it. What is the capacity of the boat?
I think we've been told 100 to 125 people would we don't have to be too crowded. It's not about the open bar thing. I just don't want to feel like I'm crammed into a lifeboat.
If you want, I can just bring my boat and we can just hang out on the side. If you need like some extra space
Like
in there,
that.
we'll just play the same music.
That's not a bad idea, and we'll throw hors d'oeuvres down at you.
Lehman can bring his kayak.
His what?
Kayak.
Oh, I thought you said his pie act. Was he making an apple pie at my party? No, we're gonna have.
Okay, we need to see that. Lehman's pie.
Just hold on a second.
Ow.
Let me explain. Let me find out what he meant here. Were you of the opinion that what Jessica was offering you is that on your birthday, her boyfriend would come with an act that involves pie?
Yeah, that's
On
what
a kayak.
she said. He can bring his pie act. That's what she said. That's what I heard.
But you're sharp as a carpet tack. You
Right.
are not delirious at the end of the show.
No.
You thought that Lehman, her boyfriend,
yeah, I know him as Lee.
what is the
You got to understand, Dan, back in his early days, that was the entertainment. There was a guy with seltzer water and a pie to the face. And
Yeah.
it was, all
Back in the
kids are loving
vaudeville
it.
days, am I right? Yes. Yeah, we may have a pie act on the boat. We're going to have a lot going on.
Huh.
I may have a guy rolling cigars. We don't know yet. There's a lot to be determined.
When is it?
September 21st.
Let me check the calendar.
Oh,
What?
I might have a work commitment that weekend.
Get out of it.
Okay.
Juju.
Hey, get your priorities
Her
straight.
boss is sitting right next to you.
It doesn't matter. He'll be at
Doesn't
the
matter.
party if I invite him.
I'm sure. You know who's going to be there? Fired Robert and Frankie, who I fired for the Gasbag of the week. They're going to be eating my hors d'oeuvres. Juju, do you know? You don't know yet whether you're invited or not, or have we confirmed that you are invited?
I'm pretty sure I'm not invited after the old hospital bed Instagram snafu. I think I got myself uninvited off the list. He came and yelled at me, and I haven't looked him in the eyes since that
Okay.
day.
You were instantly forgiven for that. It was an honest mistake.
Is he invited?
Juju was outside of Dan and Stu was one of the first two names said. Like when it was going to be just like the smallest group ever, my dad said Juju after Dan and Stu.
See,
Thank you, brother.
Christopher continues to, betray confidences and intimate details.
If I may,
Junior.
Exactly.
if I may, without getting overly sentimental here, I will tell you that Izzy Gutierrez is someone who grew up in this market. I don't know that there's a lot of anything professionally that makes Izzy as happy as you on this show. This is your 70th birthday, and for the last 5 years, while dealing with mortality stuff and worried legitimately about your cough and telling your son routinely, hey, tell your dad all the things that you feel about him so he knows them and he feels them. You're turning 70, man. There shouldn't really be any limits on this party. Like, you should blow it out. It should be a giant party that celebrates all of your narcissism, all of your fun, and all of the glorious you that is 7 decades of Cody. You shouldn't spare expense, and you shouldn't stress it. Like,
No.
it shouldn't be a source of stress for you. Who am I going to invite? Hey, Chris or Lean, help me out here. Like, you should throw this party in a big ass way.
No, it's going to be pretty big scale, honestly, and I'm not going to limit it by, I don't want to pay this much for an open bar. I mean, that's not even a factor. Money.
But the size of the boat is, and money is not, because I know your wife is not as cheap as you. Like,
Right.
you're the cheap one.
Well, cheapish.
She would describe you as cheap. Your son would describe, both your sons would describe you as cheap or cheapish.
Yeah, he's cheap.
I like this game.
You know,
Cheap
but
or
just-
cheapish?
Look,
I mean,
there's a lot of close calls in any situation. In my neighborhood, there's close calls. I'm going to invite this neighbor and this neighbor. What about the one down the street that I talk to twice a year? You know what I mean? There's just a lot of close calls.
Speaking of close calls, We haven't had one in a while with Greg, have we? Because he
Knock on
sounds
wood.
great. He looks great.
Yeah.
He does not look like he's approaching 70. He's going backwards here. What's the secret, Greg?
Yeah, I'm a Benjamin Button of my era.
Yep.
No, my health is better than it's been in years. I'm finally on a system of medication that is really controlling my asthma. And
So mocking works.
whatever helps. You know, I take 8-9 pills a day, but I'm not complaining.
He sounds so much better now than he did when he sang Tua Tickets to Paradise that we played yesterday.
No question.
Can we get that again?
didn't hear it, though.
Let me hear it again. It was during the pandemic, and it was the start to the show, and Stugotz didn't hear it.
Tua gonna take us on a trip so far from here. From boring mediocrity to dominance so near. You know why? Because we've waited so long. Since Marino, we've waited so long. So long. Those were the fainting days.
You're better now, though.
How
9 pills.
To a ticket to paradise, won't you grab a mask and believe tonight?
What stopped the fainting? The 9 pills.
Ooh, now I'm thinking fainting days to the tune of glory days. Work on that, Yeti.
There you go. We've waited so long.
Ouch, that Merino is so painful. It hurts my throat.
Man. Waited so long. And now we've got a ticket to paradise. Won't you grab a mask and believe?
So you had
COVID reference, grab a mask.
Yeah.
We'll leave tonight.
Yeah.
Just to be clear, you had Jessica's boyfriend coming on to the boat with a bunch of pies,
Yeah, bring your own pie. BYOP.
not making them on the boat. He's bringing like a cooler full of pies
Well, that's
for his
up to
pie
Jess.
act.
Yeah, if it's a
Okay.
pie act, you tell me.
Okay.
How's it going to work?
I'm picturing like it's like a pizza dough and you're rolling it out and spinning it on your finger
I
and
think so.
kneading it out in the air.
I know you're an accomplished baker. I assume that Lee is too. He's going to make a pie live on the boat, and we're going to appreciate
Gonna
that.
have a couple charts.
Yeah.
I'm imagining Lee coming to early. Where do I sit these pies?
We'll have a pie table.
That actually reminds me of something that we were going to ask Ron Magill. There was this video that was going viral of a fish with a dog's face superimposed over the fish's face.
Super real.
That was fake?
So I had
What?
I pulled up this video on my phone the other night and I showed it to Lehman who goes fishing all the time, and I was like, what would you do if you caught this fish? And he turns to me completely serious and goes, I think that's fake.
Oh my goodness.
Oh,
I
my
was such
Lord.
a fish fan after seeing this.
It seems very obviously
It's
fake.
obviously fake. It's a dog's face.
I'm watching on my phone. It's little.
I was offended that he thought it was like I thought it was real.
That is so
It literally
cute.
It's
looks
a
like
beagle
willow. Like you're gonna hook a willow with a fin on it and a tail. I just drooled again.
Definitely throwing that
adorable.
one back.
Chris
going on with
Cote,
you?
I want some assistance from you on something because the Greg Cote Show featuring Greg Cote,
With
Fine.
a podcast that is very popular because Greg Cote goes to all the depths of his narcissism. For about a month now, your father, in his way, has been sending me in that gravelly voice of his the worst Joe Biden impersonation I've ever heard. Like, there are a lot of bad ones out there, but none is worse than your father's. We played some of his impersonation. It's as bad a show as we've done in about 10 years. The 1 minute of your father trying to do this Biden impersonation. He's now trying to sell me on the latest appearance of his gravelly voice of Joe Biden calling into the Greg Cote Show featuring Greg Cote podcast, and I don't want to play it.
Well, Joe tried to call me. He got my voicemail, and my wife is always making fun of my voicemail because I say, hey, everybody, like a bunch of people are calling me when obviously it's only one person calling me. So anyway, I go, hey, everybody, my voice comes on, beep, and then Joe Biden is leaving a message from a raucous bowling alley. which is really strange.
That's interesting.
Yeah, so it's weird.
But I don't want to play it. And Juju, can you make a ruling for me here?
Please say yes.
His voice has fallen apart. The last time we did this, I maintain, is the worst minute of show we've done in a decade that has plenty of bad minutes.
Can't get worse.
You want to make a ruling on this? The way that I would set it up is Joe Biden was calling you from a bowling alley.
Yeah, that's what I just said. I already set it up.
I think since it's such a sensitive topic, and you know I care about sensitive topics, we should do it.
Oh.
Yeah. Hey, GC, it's Joe. I wanted to reach out to you ever since this business about me dropping out of the race. Just wanted to let you know I'm okay. I'm great. The weight of the world is off my shoulder. In case you're hearing no, I'm in a bowling alley right now. I tell you, I got all this free time now. Jill reminded me I'm still the president. I'll be heading back to the White House. Right now I'm at Scranton in a bowling alley. I stink, but it's okay. Got Air Force One parked in a bowling alley parking lot. But GC, I'm thrilled to hear you're on the Le Batard Show for the second time this week. That's so great. It's nostalgic for me because, you know, I used to run with Wild Bill Cote. I was the only person who called him Willie other than his brother-in-law, George Lynott, who had restless leg syndrome. We'd be sitting in a bar having a couple of scotches and his leg would be tapping like a woodpecker. But listen, I want to assure you one thing. Just because I dropped out of the presidential race, I'm still in it to win it. And let me tell you something. I endorsed the woman who's going to be the first female president in United States history. Because I have all the faith in the world in Camaro Harris. That was a nice message.
It peaked at Scranton.
That bowling alley was raucous.
Sitting around the kitchen table in Scranton.
Chris, I have known your father for a very long time, and I heard it in the Willie and the United States, the slur. That's about 9 Miller Lights.
At least
deep.
7.
But if somebody told you, hey, this is an impression of an American president about 7 or 8 Miller Lights in, you would know exactly who that was.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
I got Air Force One parked at a bowling alley.
I'm not going to say anything for fear of getting mansplained about what an impression is again, which is what happened last week when I said Chris's Biden was not very good.
Huh.
No disrespect, by the way.
Yeah, with all due respect.
It's pretty good. Come on, Jess. Not terrible.
You guys want to go have a Biden off? You and your dad against
He can't
each other?
compete with me.
Sitting around the kitchen table in Scranton, my dad says to me, Joey, we spend way too much time sitting around the kitchen table.
All he's got is Scranton. That's all he's got.
Sitting around the table in Scranton.
Oh, thanks, Dan, for asking. Mr. Water Polo Minute. All right, U.S. women water polo. We suffered our first loss yesterday. We're 1-1. It's so sad. Oh, my goodness. Those Spanish sisters had that look in their eyes, and that goalie was playing at an all-time rate. Ashley Johnson, she did a great job. She still was a plus 5.6 on the court, as well as Maddie Musselman, 5.5, Tara Prentice, 4.5, Rachel Fatal, 4.4. You did me, and you got to know Giovanna Sekulic. That's my dog. Salute. But I just like seeing all the love that these sisters are getting. Jill Biden was in the building. She gave Flavor Flav a hug. Snoop Dogg in the building. It's like seeing all these people unite around these sports is the most fulfilling part of the Olympics for me.
Question, Juju. Does water polo look like the sport that would be the most frustrating to play given how much underwater shenanigans are going on?
Seriously.
Right, it's so much shenanigans, and that pool is deep, and them sisters be jumping up and getting like, how do you
jump when you're like just in the deep end, like treading water? How do you jump from that position?
Water polo is no lie one of the sports that I'm impressed with most in the Olympics. It's like when you think about skating and ice hockey, how you have to do it like second nature, but you just have to swim, and you've got people pulling you down, pulling your shorts down. It seems like a very,
what's
very
the
difficult
other
sport.
You said 2.
The canoe.
The other one is gymnastics.
Is there more poking?
Canoe looks crazy.
Is there more poking or pinching in water polo?
Great question.
Well, how's your uncle? Well, whoop.
How's your uncle is the poking. What's pinching?
Pinching would
How's
be
your
a
auntie?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't have anything for that one.
How's your uncle? I never heard that one.
The U.S. men's water polo just got a W, though, so salute to my boys.
Nice.
And unfortunately, I'm also tasked with covering the 3-on-3 basketball. Women's, we just caught an L to Germany.
Ouch.
Get well soon, sisters.
How does that work? Are there any big-name basketball players for the women playing? Like, I know for the men, Jimmer Fredette's playing, I believe, for the men. Who are playing for the women? Anyone?
Ryan Howard, Haley Van Lith. We got some good sisters.
Erica Hamby's filling in for Cameron Brink because she got hurt, and Cassie Burdick. And it's one thing that I found interesting about 3x3. First of all, it's called 3x3. Apparently, I've been told that that's the proper nomenclature, not first 3 or 3-on-3. I keep getting corrected.
Why
about
did
that.
X take over for V? It should have been 3v3.
I don't know, and whoever told me that could be wrong.
Out of
So.
control.
No, I think you're right, because that's all I hear is 3x3.
3
but who
Twitter
decided
3.
that?
Elon.
It looks really. I forgot what I was gonna say, but it's 3x3. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I
Cameron
remember.
Brink,
Yeah, it's like you have to have like a certain amount of qualifying events and points to qualify. So for the U.S. team, like it's very different than the last time where it was like Jackie Young and Kelsey Plum, like some of the like WNBA players that they wanted to have Olympic experience for playing 5-on-5. This year, it's more players that are well versed in 3x3.
Is it the same USA basketball committee that decides who's on all these teams? That's
I think.
interesting.
Well, I think they're yes and no.
It's almost like they're minor leagues.
same
essentially.
federation, but
Like they used it last time to get Kelsey
it's kind
Plum
of a
ready.
different sport,
Right.
Like that's the thing that's confusing.
Much preferred
it
by
looks
me.
So hard.
Love a half-court game. Love a half-court
But they
game.
don't stop ever. Like they're just going the whole time.
Is it like take-backs? I haven't watched yet 3-on-3. Like, is there literally like take-backs?
Yeah, for sure.
That's awesome.
By the way, this isn't Olympics, but the NBA is starting. WNBA is starting a new off-season league, 3-on-3.
Yes,
called
in Miami.
In Miami, called Unrivaled. That's
Salute.
going to be pretty interesting.
That's cool.
So far, Angel Reese and Brianna Stewart are probably the 2 biggest name players. Everybody's waiting to see if Caitlin Clark's going to play, but that's going to be interesting. 3-on-3, 5-woman teams, very short season, big payday. They're trying to prevent these women from having to go out of country just to make ends meet, which is
Right.
sad.
And it's headed by Brianna Stewart and Nafisa Collier.
Yeah,
so
they
salute to those
founded it.
sisters.
Yeah,
I think that is a really interesting point, Greg, because so far everyone that's said they're doing Unrivaled, like they are the biggest names of the WNBA, and I'm curious how that will influence the next round of 3x3 tournaments, because it is kind of like you're learning a different sport. It's much faster. I don't know if the rules will be the same as like international competition where like, a shot inside the arc is 1 point, outside is 2 points. The ball's a little bit different, but it is really kind of weird watching it and retraining yourself like how to play or how to like watch basketball almost.
Greg, how do you consume these Olympics? Because yesterday I ruined it for my youngest sister, who for some reason didn't think about the time difference and didn't realize she wasn't watching the men's gymnastics live.
My wife ruined that for me last night because I happened to just miss throughout the day whether the men's gymnastics, and like midway through I was just like, oh, this is a big mo. He's a pommel horse guy. It's all he does. My wife was just like, they won bronze. And I'm like, what do you mean? He hasn't gone yet. I know I was being dumb because I was like, it was clearly in prime time, but I just had a moment and I was just, and then she's just like, she had to like, she wanted to get out there. She wanted to do this. Yeah. I got mad at her. I was like,
love those moments.
There was no reason for you to say they won bronze.
Yeah.
Like
let you sit for a second.
I was curious about this. It was clear that I was in the, like, I didn't know. I got mad at her. I was like, you just did a thing there. And she smirked.
There was a reason. There was a reason,
She
brother.
wanted to break the news.
2 weeks ago, you did some bullshit in the house. You didn't take out the trash or
Yeah,
dump
that's
the dish.
true.
And she
Yeah,
got
probably
you
right.
with that
Oh
bronze.
my God, Chris, the slow report.
I know.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh.
That's a
It
good
could be
idea.
a good time for a slow report.
Caitlin Clark was left off the U.S. women's
I
basketball.
like it. Yeah, you got to do that.
I'm doing that right now.
You got to do that.
All right, Greg.
Yeah.
Do you watch it live in the
Gonna do
afternoon?
numbers.
Do you just ignore things and then just watch it in the evening and not check your phone?
I watch it in the afternoon if it's an event I really want, like when the women's soccer team is playing. That's must-see TV for me whenever it's on. But for the most part, I know the wife and I are going to watch a couple hours of Olympics at night, so I purposely try not to be too informed. I want to be a
That's a
little
good
bit
way to do
surprised.
that.
Yeah, like I didn't know that the U.S. men's gymnastics had won bronze until
Your
I was
wife
watching
didn't ruin it
last
for
night.
you?
No.
She didn't say like right
No.
before the most God, I hate my wife right now.
She did not. She didn't know either. I mean, it's not like she's keeping a secret, you know. But I'm enjoying it, man.
I watch both.
It leaves me longing at night. If I watched it early, and even if I know the result, I'll still watch it later on the encore. But there's no live sports on. I mean, there's, I guess, some WNBA games, maybe, right? Or not right now, right? They're on the break. I mean, some baseball games, but I mean, come on. Like, this is the Olympics, right? And so the Olympics are going on and there's no events at night. Just makes me sad. And so I kind of want to watch the encore just to pretend like it's live.
Yeah, and also, I've been to Paris, and it's just gorgeous. And when you talk about volleyball in the shadow of the Eiffel Tower and equestrian at the Palace of Versailles, there's some of the settings for this Olympics are just visually stunning to me, which is part of my television enjoyment as well.
One thing, Izzy, that I've found is that if you go on Peacock and watch Gold Zone throughout the day, like you might see some repeat stuff in the primetime show. But if you're watching like one like long soccer game or basketball game or whatever, they're not replaying those at night. So like you won't double up.
Okay.
So you got to do what Chris does and just not know the results and stay up late and watch it on NBC.
Unless your wife ruins it for you.